Hi, my name is Pat, and this is my channel, Book Chat with Pat, and I'm glad that you're here. Today I'm going to be doing my weekly wrap-up for the week ending Saturday, November 8th. This week I finished reading Arthur Conan Doyle's novel, The Land of Mist. This was a buddy read with my friend Gavin at Genre Books. This is not a Sherlock Holmes novel. Rather, this is part of the Professor Challenger series. Gavin is doing this wonderful project where he plans to read 100 years worth of science fiction, and he's chosen a book published in every year from 1926, and he will continue into 2026. And this novel, The Land of Mist, was written in 1926. This book is really more about Professor Challenger's daughter, Enid, and Challenger's friend, the journalist and Irishman, Edward Malone. It's more about them than it is about Professor Challenger, although he does appear in the novel as well. It's a terrific novel about spiritualism, which was very popular in the early part of the 20th century. And this was a real interest of Arthur Conan Doyle's, especially after World War I. This is a novel about mediums and seances and communing with spirits of the dead. Gavin and I are going to be meeting later today to have a discussion of this novel. So I'm not going to say too much about it here in this wrap-up. But thank you, Gavin, for inviting me to join you in your project. I also finished this week the second half of Daphne DuMaurier's collection, After Midnight, 13 Tales for the Dark Hours. I had mentioned last week that I was reading this for the spooky season, but I only got through half of it last week, and I finished it up this week. This is a really, really great collection of stories. I don't know the work of Daphne DuMaurier very well. Prior to reading this, I had only read Rebecca. That's the only one of her many novels that I have read. But reading this collection has definitely made me want to explore more of her work. The Birds is no doubt the most famous story in this collection, and everybody kind of knows that story, probably more from the film, the Alfred Hitchcock film. But it is a really powerful short story. It is a brilliantly imagined story that is still weirdly very timely and relevant today. Don't Look Now is another story in this collection, which was written in 1971, and that formed the basis of the 1973 film Don't Look Now. I think this was my favorite in the whole collection. This is a story about a couple. They are grieving parents. They have lost a daughter, and they have traveled to Venice as a way to try to find some solace and to be together as they're dealing with this, catastrophic loss of their child. In Venice, they encounter a blind seer, a blind woman who sees spirits of the dead, and she also can see things that are going to happen in the future. It's a really, really engrossing story. And as I said, reading this collection has really made me want to go and explore more of DuMaurier's Gothic fiction. Our John Irving reading event was kicked off this week. We began reading and discussing the Cider House Rules. This novel was written 40 years ago, and that's when I last read it. So in many ways, it feels like I'm coming to it. Anew. We are reading this in anticipation of John Irving's newest novel, which was just published this week, and that is Queen Esther. We're going to be reading this in December. The new novel is also set in the orphanage at St. Cloud's in Maine, where Cider House Rules also takes place. And the new novel also features the character of Dr. Wilbur Larch. This new book, the new novel, which we're reading in December, is a historical novel. It's historical fiction about a character, Esther Nacht, who is an orphan from Vienna. And she shows up on the doorstep of the orphanage. So it's basically her story, a young Jewish orphan from Vienna and the life that she has at St. Cloud's, and then also later with the family that takes her in. It really is a novel that is going to span most of the 20th century. We are discussing Cider House Rules in a Voxer chat. It's a large group. We're discussing, this past week, we've discussed the first 4 chapters. In the coming week, we're adding chapters 5, 6, and 7 to our discussion. And this was really to give people time to get the new novel, and people are little by little. It's showing up on people's doorsteps, or they're getting it from the library, and so we're all looking forward to that in December. I also started this week Agatha Christie's 5 Little Pigs. This is a book that I am reading this month with Jack at Spreadbookjoy and Gemma of Gem of Books with their FOMO Book Club. The FOMO Book Club's year starts in November, and Jack and Gemma selected Agatha Christie's 5 Little Pigs as the first reading of their new cycle of books, because this was Alice's favorite book, and that's Alice from the channel Alice of the Giant Book and the Giant Bookshelf. This was her. She loved Agatha Christie. She had read all of Agatha Christie, and this was her favorite novel. Alice was one of the founders of the FOMO Book Club, and sadly she passed away last year, and so Jack and Gemma wanted to start off the new cycle of books with a book in honor of Alice and in Alice's memory. While I am a big Agatha Christie fan, I've not read anywhere near her complete works, and I have never read this one. So I was really looking forward to jumping in on this, and I just started it this week, and what a delight. This is exactly what I needed to read right now. In the coming week, I will be continuing with John Irving's Cider House Rules, and I also will be beginning the group read for the Dr. No-Vember spy reading event, and their group read is Graham Greene's The Quiet American. A lot of people have already finished it. Some people just started it this week. It looks to be a pretty quick read. It's under 200 pages, but I'll be starting that this week. And in addition, I just wanted to talk a little bit about another book that I will be finishing this week. And this is a book of poetry by Andrea Gibson. This is You Better Be Lightning. Andrea Gibson was a brilliant poet, a slam poetry champion, and she was also the poet laureate of the state of Colorado. My friend Lekden at the channel Reading from the Depths actually introduced me to the poetry of Andrea Gibson this past summer when news of her death at only 49 was reaching the world. And I've been reading her complete body of work ever since, and watching her absolutely stunning performances on YouTube. I want to be able to feature her on my channel in a Poetry Thursday episode. I just don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. I don't know if I'm up to the task. If you watch any of her videos where she performs her poetry, you'll understand why it would be difficult to talk about her and to read any of her works. I don't know that I'm up to the task, but it's something I would love to do in her honor. And she's just what an inspiration she is. So that's it. That's it for this week. That's what I've read. That's what I have coming up in the week to come. As always, I thank you for watching. I hope that you're doing well. I'll speak with you again soon. Take care.